What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, Division Rivals? This is Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, y'all, today's topic, we're going to continue with these position previews, and we're picking up running back, which has, to me, been a really interesting thing to track this offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's just kind of walk through, right? Season ends. And we end up making the decision that, after a month or two goes by, we bring back Jordan Howard, right? Jordan Howard tells us he didn't have a lot of interest. Like, he's definitely putting in time and effort in the offseason. Like, he knows this is kind of a last-ditch heroics here, right? Following that, recently, we kick off with the 2021 NFL draft. We all were all kind of talking about the fact that the Eagles were probably going to draft a running back. We had different perspectives. A lot of guys thought it might be more of a contact bounce back, someone who could complement Miles Sanders more. But the Eagles ended up getting a guy that, to be quite honest, let's just call a spade, guys. Like, he can play a role very similar to Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell. Although Kenneth Gainwell is a very good receiving back, and you can see some niche things for him inside of the offense, right? And then let's follow it up with the subsequent thing, right? Before even the Kenneth Gainwell pick, we put an RFA on Boston Scott, a restricted free agent tender, which he ended up signing. And then, fast forward, guys, to about a week or so ago, what happens? Kerryon Johnson gets claimed by the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's where we find ourselves. So to start this discussion about the running back room, let's just start off with what Dave Zangaro said, right? Dave Zangaro put out an article about it, back in December, right, where he talks about since 1994 to 2019, and I'll give you the real quick justification of why he went from 94 to 2019. It's as far as you can track the information on, right? This is all that stat head will let you go back to, is the 94 season, this particular stat. All right, here's a list of running backs this includes. Herschel Walker, Ricky Waters, Charlie Garner, Deuce Staley, right? Brian Westbrook, LaShawn McCoy, Brian Mitchell. A lot of guys we're talking about here in this time frame, right? From 94 to 2019, there were only 4 separate occasions where the Eagles had a play of 70-plus yards from the running back position, on running plays, basically, guys. Of those 4, this is how it kind of worked out, guys. Herschel Walker back in 94 had a 91-yarder. Brian Mitchell back in 2000 had a 85-yarder, okay? Brian Westbrook back in 2006 had a 71-yarder. And then Jay Ajayi in 2017 had a 71-yarder.
6,000 a year. Second and 6. Through the middle. Big hole. And he's out in front. Can they get him from behind? And they do.
Since October 11th of last year, one season, October 11th through the end of the season, guys, Miles Sanders alone had three runs of 70-plus yards, okay? So we're talking about big play. That's the thing. When you talk about Miles Sanders, there's some deficiencies to the game, guys. There's some areas he's got to get better, and we're going to get into that today. But he's a big play home run hitter.
Wentz as our quarterback. On second down, they will run it and run it. They will to Sanders. Big run. He's on his feet. Miles Sanders. It's a foot race to the 30. Can he go all the way?
But let's get into this somewhat. New offense, new concepts, more emphasis on the running game, more emphasis on the utilization of running backs in particular. It's not just the running game, right? Because if you look through Indianapolis, you got guys like Jonathan Taylor who emerged on the scene. And then, we know what they did with guys like Jordan Wilkins and Nyheim Hines. There were defined roles here. Jonathan Taylor is a bigger back. He's a very much like a Jordan Howard guy, 5'11", 220 plus, right? As a matter of fact, if you divide these guys up, you get guys like Jonathan Taylor and David Montgomery and Nick Chubb, and you can even look to guys like Zeke. You can look to Jordan Howard. These 5'10" to 6 foot or so guys that are about 220 plus. Saquon being the dividing line before you get to like a Derrick Henry type. Saquon being like in the 230s, and then you get to the Derrick Henry, which is just like Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. Those dudes are on a whole nother level, right? There's been an element of a contact bounce back in that offense, right? And as I look at this, and I look at a guy like Jordan Howard who's trying to work his way back, he's the only guy that really fits this role. I know there's been a lot of mention about Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon Johnson is much closer to Miles Sanders than he is Jordan Howard, guys. The only thing I'll give Kerryon Johnson to where he could disrupt the Jordan Howard, he's a really good pass blocking running back.
Here comes pressure by the Bears, and the open man is...
He's very good at scanning the field and picking up the incoming blitzer, keeping his quarterback clean. Jordan Howard is also one of these guys that's very, very good at that.
Sanders is. It's a big atmosphere and a must-win game. 3rd down and 3, the pass.
Miles Sanders needs to develop, or I'm telling you, he's going to get snaps taken away from him as a running back because these other guys can provide that kind of versatility to their game. They can be 3rd down backs and do those type of things. But here's the thing with Jordan Howard, right? You go back to his 2015 year, his senior year of college, guys, you're talking about 369 yards per contact. You're talking about 723 yards total from contact. He had 35 plays over 10-plus yards, 20 plays over 15-plus yards, which is a big number. But look, he only forced 33 missed tackles, so he wasn't juking anybody. He's lowering the shoulder, right? You compare him to the other two guys that are on this roster, and you look at a guy like Miles Sanders, right? 47 missed tackles. You see the missed tackles, trickulating upwards. 845 yards after contact total. He had a 3.84 yards after contact per attempt average, which is really good. I mean, Miles Sanders has proven himself to be better running between the tackles than I think a lot of people thought. 38 10-plus yards. So, look, that's a very solid number. He's definitely been up there. And then 15 runs of over 15 yards on designed plays. So, Miles Sanders, you can see there's a little difference here. Compare that to a Kerryon Johnson, who's a very similar back. And this is what you get, guys. Kerryon Johnson had 31 plays of 10-plus yards. He had 17 plays, 17 plays of 15-plus yards, okay? 2.9 yards, per contact per rushing attempt. Works its way out to be about in total yardage. So, I mean, you're talking about the SEC, and that stuff kind of matters, guys. But in total yardage, that's 826. So he's also a guy that can run between the tackles. But I don't think that he has I think he's got more to prove there. Like, I do think Miles Sanders is a little bit more developed than him in that regard. But we're talking about similar style backs here. 5'11", 210-pound backs. That's what Kerryon Johnson is. That's what Miles Sanders is. By the way, CMC would be in that category. Like a 5'10", 5'11" guy. He's a little lighter than those dudes. He's like 205, 206. Dalvin Cook's in that category. 5'10", 5'11" guy, about 210 pounds. That's what we're looking at, guys, from this position group. We're looking at some really big fights at the top end here, right? And include Boston Scott in there. Another 3rd down back that, because he didn't produce as a pass blocking back, and he didn't get the short yardage situations we wanted to see throughout. Now we have a 4-way fight, probably for 3 positions.
Philly on the move. It's Wentz. Here comes some pressure. He's in trouble. Stay on his feet, and down he goes. He tried.
As I round it out, guys, this is the way I see it as I kind of round out our discussion. I think we got 2 guys I feel confident are probably on the roster. And that being Miles Sanders, which I don't think there's really a discussion there, but I can make arguments around Kenneth Gainwell and say that a 5th-round pick is never a lock to make the roster, but I do feel pretty confident that Kenneth Gainwell is likely making this roster because we know someone would claim him. And then I see 3 guys kind of fighting for what may only be 2 spots, and I think the other 3 guys I haven't mentioned in this video so far still have an opportunity for a steal. Because although you have to show production as being a number 2, right? I mean, Kenneth Gainwell, you can make the argument could be that guy, but maybe as a rookie, as a 5th-round pick, you kind of pump your brakes there a little bit. But you got a Kerryon Johnson that can be that guy. You got a Jordan Howard that can be that guy. I know the Eagles once thought of Boston Scott, going into the 2020 season as potentially that guy. I think that he's now probably viewed more as a 3rd and a 4th back, right? But outside of just being a number 2 guy, the way you have to round out the roster is you have to have 3rd down versatility. You've got to be able to scan the field and pick up blitzes, right? You got to be able to pass pro, be able to block, be a blocking back. You've got to have some versatility as either being a short yardage, goal line, 3rd and short, just short yardage contact balance back, or you need to be a pretty good receiving back. I mean, I think there's complexity here. And the last thing that I'll say, guys, the last item I think that's on the list that can be had for a steal is special teams play. You can never rule out the importance of special teams play and the role it might have here. And that's what I'll kind of close it out with, right, guys? Guys like Adrian Killens, a guy like Jason Huntley, a guy like Elijah, Holyfield. You got to watch out because at some point, some of these back end of the roster guys have to be special teams producers. And if those guys just, in Nick Sirianni and his coaching staff's mind, say, hey, man, they give us a lot. They give us a lot on special teams kick return and punt return. And, they can just play so many different roles in that. They can steal a roster spot, guys, to be quite honest. I don't anticipate that happening, but you always got to be aware it can happen. I mean, crazier things have absolutely happened in Philadelphia. All right, guys, don't forget, if you want to support the channel, you can buy me a cup of coffee. Link is in the description below. Don't forget to like and comment on the video, guys, because that's what spikes the algorithm and gets this in front of other people. And last but not least, guys, this is a community where we talk a lot about advanced analytics. We run film, and we discuss maybe the deeper conversations within the game here. We'd love to add you to the community, but in order to do that, guys, you got to hit that subscribe button. All right, y'all, I appreciate y'all tuning in so much, and I will see y'all on the next video.